All right, let's talk about going from total chaos to a sense of calm. Tackling that huge modern challenge of how to stop being just busy and start being actually truly effective. Together, we're going to build a personalized productivity system, one piece at a time.
Does this sound familiar? You have one of those days where you are just go, go, go. Your calendar is a nightmare. You've fired off a million emails. You're constantly moving. But then at the end of it all, you look back and think, what did I actually get done? It feels like you made zero progress on the stuff that really matters, right?
Okay, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. The problem isn't that you're lazy or not working hard enough. I mean, you're putting in the hours, for sure. The problem isn't you, it's the system you're using. Or, maybe the fact that you don't really have one. So many of us, without even realizing it, have picked up these little habits that are totally sabotaging our focus and just draining our energy. So today, we're going to ditch all that. We're going to build a brand new toolkit, a system that's actually designed to work with your brain's natural rhythm instead of constantly fighting against it. So, where do we even begin with all this? Well, the first step is pretty simple, actually. You got to win your morning. Or hey, maybe it's your afternoon, or even your evening. The key here is to tackle that biggest, scariest task head on, right when you're at your best. You've probably heard this idea captured in a famous quote that gets tossed around a lot, usually credited to Mark Twain. It's this brilliant, kind of gross metaphor that productivity guru Brian Tracy really ran with, and it became the foundation for a super powerful technique. So, eating the frog, what does that actually mean? It means you find that one big, important task, the thing you've been putting off, and you do it first. The logic is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Once you get the hardest thing on your list done, everything else just feels like a piece of cake. It creates this amazing momentum that can carry you through the entire day. But, and this is a big but, this is exactly where that one-size-fits-all productivity advice just completely falls apart. I mean, what if you're just not a morning person? What if your brain doesn't really kick into gear until, say, 10 a.m.? Trying to force yourself to do something super complex when you're still half asleep it's a recipe for disaster.
The answer, my friends, lies in something called your chronotype. It sounds fancy, but it's just the scientific name for your internal body clock. And this clock is what dictates when you're naturally at your most alert and energetic. And here's the secret. Working with your chronotype, instead of constantly fighting it, is the absolute key to unlocking your true potential. And this completely changes how we think about eating the frog, doesn't it? It's not about forcing yourself to be a morning person. It doesn't matter if you're a lion who's up and at 'em at dawn or a wolf who does their best work late at night. The principle is exactly the same. Do your biggest, most important work during your personal peak hours. Honestly, just knowing this can be so liberating, especially because, let's face it, the typical 9-to-5 world is pretty much built for lions. Okay, so now you've got a handle on when you're at your best. The next big question is, how do you protect that precious time? How do you really maximize your focus? Because having the time is one thing, but the quality of your attention, well, that's everything. The author Cal Newport talks about this, and he makes a really important distinction between two kinds of work. You've got deep work, which is the stuff that really moves the needle, the hard, focused thinking that creates something new and valuable. And then you've got shallow work. That's all the busy work, answering emails, scheduling meetings, the things that have to get done but don't really lead to big breakthroughs. The whole game is to prioritize the deep stuff. But get ready for a reality check, because this might actually surprise you. Most of us, we can only really sustain about 1 to 4 hours of true, high-quality, deep work per day. That's it. When you hear that, suddenly protecting that little window of time becomes absolutely critical, right? It's your most valuable and limited resource all day. So the big question is, how do you defend those precious few hours? Well, one of the most popular and frankly effective ways is something called the Pomodoro Technique. It's a super simple system for breaking your work down into focused little sprints. And here's how that cycle works. It's brilliant. You go all in, total focus on one thing for 25 minutes. Timer goes off. You take a short 5-minute break. You do that 4 times, and then you get a real break, a longer one, like 15 or 30 minutes. This rhythm is amazing because it stops you from burning out and keeps your concentration super sharp. And listen, those breaks aren't for being lazy. They are scientifically crucial. When you step away, you allow your brain to switch gears from what's called focused mode to diffused mode. And it's in that relaxed, diffused mode that your brain starts making all these cool background connections. It's often where those incredible aha moments come from.
All right, now let's talk about the number one enemy of deep work, the villain of our focused sprints. That constant, never-ending flood of tiny little tasks and interruptions that just completely derail our day.
I'm sure you've heard of this one. It's a super popular productivity hack, the 2-minute rule. The idea is, hey, if a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it immediately. And on the surface, that sounds amazing, right? So efficient. But here's the thing. In the real world, this rule can be a total trap. It's constantly yanking you out of that focused, deep work state. That 2-minute email, we all know it often takes 5 minutes, and then it leads to another email and another. Before you know it, you spent your entire day just reacting to little things, never even touching the work that actually matters. So, if the 2-minute rule is the trap, then task batching is your escape plan. Instead of letting all those small, shallow tasks interrupt you all day long, you group them all together. You set aside a specific block of time, maybe 30 minutes right after lunch, and you knock out all your emails in one go. This puts a protective bubble around your deep work time, keeping it safe from all those little disruptions. Okay, wow, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We've talked about finding your peak energy hours, protecting your focus, and fighting off distractions. So now it's time to put all those pieces together and build a system that is 100% yours. And if you remember one thing from this, let it be this. There is no single best method. True productivity isn't about just blindly following someone else's rules. It's about taking these ideas as a starting point, experimenting, and figuring out what actually works for you. You can mix them, match them, change them, create your own unique system that fits your life perfectly. So think of this as your personal productivity starter pack. First, figure out your frog, your biggest task, and schedule it for when your chronotype says you're at your best. Next, use a tool like the Pomodoro Technique to give that work session some structure. And finally, use task batching to round up all that shallow work and put it in its own little timeout corner so it can't mess with your focus. And that really brings us to the biggest point of all. The goal of all of this, it isn't just about cramming more work into your day. Not at all. It's about creating more time, more space for the things that actually truly matter to you. So I'll leave you with this question. If you could reclaim just 1 hour every single day, what would you create with it? What would you do?